आ, 2003 मार्च में मैं शुरू में एक शराब को लेकर खबर बना रहा था। तो सचिन पुलिस थाना था सूरत में, तो वहां गया तो कम ज्यादा से ज्यादा 8 या 10 साल का लड़का था। तो पुलिस वाले लड़के को लेके आए। लड़के ने एक जैकेट बना हुआ था, जैकेट के अंदर छोटी छोटी बोतलें छुपाई हुई थी, पूरे बॉडी के ऊपर थी। फिर उस बच्चे को पूरा चीज पूछा तो अगेन वही आया कि उसके पापा नहीं है, माँ बीमार थी। तो 6-8 महीने से उसने कारोबार शुरू किया, क्योंकि बच्चा था तो कोई डाउट नहीं करता था। तो एक जगह से दूसरी जगह पे जो छोटी 250 ml वाली बॉटल थी, वो जैकेट के अंदर काफ़ी सारे पॉकेट बनाए थे, नवसारी या वलसाड़ या दमन से लेके सूरत आता था। तो उस बच्चे के लिए शायद तब, क्योंकि उसकी माँ बिजनेस करती थी, तो माँ बीमार हुई तो बच्चे ने बिजनेस को कैरी करना शुरू किया। तो ऐसे कई किस्से ये भी है कि शराब भले अवैध धंधा है और अवैध धंधा नहीं, बिजनेस नहीं चलना चाहिए, लेकिन कुछ लोगों के लिए सही में रोजगारी का वो जरिया बना।
कि हम तो पीते थे, कोई वो मैं छुपाता नहीं, क्योंकि मैं तो फिर से कहूँगा कि आर्मी के साथ थे तो 3x रम भी मिलता था। और बीइंग अ कम्युनिटी इजीली लखनऊ में तो कोई न देखे तो स्टील के ग्लास में मंगवा कर, मतलब क्या है मालूम, पानी होगा ऐसे मालूम पड़ेगा, तो खाने से पहले पी लेते थे। और 24 घंटे पीने वाले उसका वो कोई मांगने में शर्म नहीं होती। मेरे गांव के सरपंच थे तो सुबह उठ के ही वो पीते थे, दोपहर को पीते थे, रात को पीते थे, कोई भी मिला लाओ सिगरेट लाओ। मतलब ये जो मर्यादा होती है कि डूज एंड डोंट्स, वो भूल जाता है आदमी, अपना सोशल स्टेटस खत्म होता है।
सूरत के आउटस्कर्ट में एक विलेज है जहाँ कई सारी विधवा महिलाएं जो वीडियो हैं वो देसी शराब बनाकर बेचती हैं, या तो फिर आसपास में दमन वगैरह से शराब लेकर लाकर बेचती हैं। वजह यह है कि महिलाओं की शादी कम एज में होती थी, उनके पति जो थे देसी लेकर पीते थे, लोकल मेड जो होती थी हेल्दी नहीं होता था और कम एज में वो मर जाते थे और ये वीडियो होती थी। उनके पास कमाई का कोई जरिया नहीं होता था, तो शराब बनाने या बेचने से उनका घर चलता था। मैंने गांव में विजिट किया, काफ़ी सारे विजुअल किए, जो शराब बनती है, भट्टी वगैरह जो होती है वो सब कुछ किया। तब जो डीसीपी थे उनके पास गए तो उन्होंने मुझे पूरा सिस्टम समझाया कि देखिए, आपको लग रहा है महिला गलत कर रही है, लेकिन आप सच्चाई भी तो देखिए। आपको लग रहा है कि पुलिस जानबूझ के यहाँ पर रेड नहीं कर रही है, पुलिस पैसा लेकर रेड नहीं कर रही है, लेकिन उसका दूसरी साइड भी है। तो उसी दौरान एक पुलिस वाला कांस्टेबल आया कि साहब, कुछ महिलाओं को हमने पकड़ा है और वो पास में नवसारी से शराब लेकर आ रही थी, एसटी बस में से उतरी थी, उधना दरवाजा में हम लोगों ने उनको डिटेन किया है, उनके पास से शराब की। तो मेरी मौजूदगी में वो दोनों मुझे डीसीपी ने बिठाया और वो 2 महिलाएं थी उनको बुलाया, उनकी पूरी कहानी सुनी कि उनका घर परिवार कैसे चलता है। मैं बात कर रहा हूँ 2005-6 की, आज से 15 साल पुरानी। तो वो महिला रोने लगी कि साहब, मेरे पास से 20 बोतल हैं जो क्वार्टर बोलते हैं 250 ml वाले, और मैं इतने पैसे में लेके आती हूँ और एक क्वार्टर पे मुझे इतना पैसा मिलता है, कुल मिला के मेरे 200 रुपया बन जाते हैं। अब आप मुझे बिठा लो, मुझे कोई इश्यू नहीं है, मेरा घर 2 दिन भूखा रहेगा, लेकिन प्लीज़ शराब की जो बोतल है हमें वापस दे दीजिए, क्योंकि वो 20 शराब की जो क्वार्टर है उसके पीछे मेरे 500 रुपया लगे हैं, और 500 रुपया मेरे जाते हैं तो मेरा 2.5 दिन की इनकम चली जाएगी, और मैं 500 रुपया लाऊंगी कहाँ से। मुझे मेरी मौजूदगी में वो डीसीपी ने वो महिलाओं को 5-5 हज़ार रुपया दिया और बोला कि एक काम कीजिए, 5 हज़ार रुपया लीजिए, अब घर चली जाइए, अब ये शराब की बोतल वापस लेके जाइए। तो ये भी सच्चाई है कि शौक से लोग शराब का धंधा हर कोई नहीं करता है, कुछ ऐसे भी हैं जिनके पास रोजगारी नहीं थी उसके चल के करते हैं, और ये भी है कि कुछ लोगों के घर शराब को लेकर उजड़े हैं, क्योंकि वो महिला उसके लिए वीडियो हुई क्योंकि उनके पति शराबी थे। फिर भी वो महिला शराब का ही बिजनेस करती थी क्योंकि उनके पास और कोई सोर्स ऑफ इनकम नहीं था।
I told you a landmark episode of that Latha tragedy which happened when I was health secretary, And when I saw the people dying, people losing their eyesight, it was very moving. I went from hospital to hospital and we tried to save the eyesight of people. We deployed so many doctors, and I found it such a criminal neglect of the administrative system that so much of spurious liquor could get distributed. Actually, they were consuming that liquor every day. They call it pouch. In the pouch they used to dispense. Somebody was dispensing it on a regular basis. And this happens in our rural areas regularly. That they make such kind of spurious liquor, they distribute it at a very, very cheap cost, and people come and take it. But someday something went wrong, and the same liquor became killer, because there is no standardization in the absence of. See, when you don't have prohibition, then you have what is called Deshi Theka, Deshi Daru ka Theka, which means Deshi Daru is also regulated. Manufacture of Deshi Daru is also under some kind of regulation. So this is one negative aspect of prohibition, that here you have a huge quantity of Deshi Daru being made across villages. You see, amongst the tribals, and Gujarat has a very huge tribal belt, and Madhya Pradesh has very huge tribal belt, and there it is customary to make liquor. There it's not something pertaining to the law. They make the liquor, they consume it. But when it starts getting done on a commercial scale, there is absolutely nothing to regulate it. And there these kind of deaths can happen. So we need to find some way in between.
Latha is sold. When I was in Surat in 1977, I carried out a study and I saw that 250 people died at one place because of drinking latha. He has to go there, drink latha and come back. So soon as he drinks latha, he drinks that. On that particular day, it had so happened that the process of precipitation had not occurred. So those who drank latha died there itself. 250 people died.
When I inquired in 1990 about Sutrapada Latha Kand, I had given a report. The report was more or less on the same line. And what I had pointed out there, that even boys and girls of 10 to 15 years had gone blind by taking illicit liquor. Entire link was identified. I spent 4 days continuously and had given that. Assembly committee found it very interesting. When it was laid in the assembly, they held a special hearing which lasted for 3 days. But today, if you ask somehow or the other, neither the report is being given a right to information nor the proceedings are given. They say it misplaced. I can take a small credit that what we had recommended at that time, I had taken help of police people, I had taken help of the MLAs, even one who became minister after this Jashabhai Bharat just was the Sarpanch there. I had spent 3 days in Sutrapada continuously to do that. Doctors, across the board, I had done and I have drafted the report. So, that issue why we are sweeping under the carpet, there is a suspicion, right, wrong, otherwise, is what he says. The widespread corruption of prohibition does not even allow the review. It does not allow the review. Open-ended review will be cut short by somebody or the other. There are too many vested interests. And it begins from the illicit liquor maker to distributor to everyone concerned with the whole thing.
So this sort of showcasing happens whenever there is a ban. If it is drunk at home in a moderate manner, I believe it may not happen. But still with that, I would say that sublimation of your lifestyle is required, and I still believe that you must have a sort of lifestyle which is humane lifestyle rather than a sort of animal lifestyle.
घर में ऐसे लड़के भी है कि वो माँ को भी पीटते हैं और बाप को भी पीटते हैं और पैसे छीन के भी ले जाते हैं, ऐसे भी है.
Despite trying to raise the matter repeated number of times, these women have not been provided recourse. They say that the sale of illegal liquor has continued to go on unabated.
लेकिन प्रॉब्लम उसमें क्या है कि जो देसी दारू होता है, देसी दारू सबसे बेकार, यानी वो क्या गन्ने वो सड़ा हुआ गन्ना होता है ना, उससे भी दारू बनता है. वो इतना बेकार केमिकल वाला यूरिया और वो सब डाल के बनाते हैं. वो देसी दारू सबसे बेकार, क्योंकि यहाँ पे सब काम करने वाले लोग हैं, उनकी इतनी सैलरी नहीं है कि वो अच्छी वाली बोतल हायर कर सके. इसकी वजह से वो 10 वाली या 20 रुपए वाली वो दारू की पोटली होती है, उससे वो पीकर गुजारा चलाते हैं, और वो सबसे हानिकारक होता है सेहत के लिए.
At that time, those papers were coming in a truck. Since the number at that time was limited, about 3 lakh and some subject, so somebody put lot of boxes of liquor in it. It was going to Baroda, and near Kheda it was intercepted. The men left the truck. Nobody was arrested, but the goods were retrieved. We had issue of postponing exam or not. But when we ask anyone that who has brought this, they all gave name of a person who was a bootlegger in Wadj. Everybody knew. Every MLA, there was a committee of legislature, all 5 members knew that whose liquor it was. So it is too open in a way, transparent ho gaya. Many people introduce ki he is supplying this thing if you need his service. He is introduced socially also without any stigma.
By this time it has so happened that since prohibition policy was introduced, the illicit brewing market has emerged in every city and every town in Gujarat, who illicitly supply liquor to people who want to drink. And this has become a vested interest lobby. And they also don't want ban to be lifted, because if ban is there, then people will give any money to drink liquor, and they will be able to sell liquor which is qualitatively not good, which is qualitatively harmful to you.
In small places, if nothing else is available, people take UD colon bottle and drink it. Now these are distortions which we have to correct. The sale of UD colon in Gujarat is disproportionately high. In any medicine containing more than or allowed percent is 11%, those medicines are also consumed. Cough syrup and many other things.
There were very large number of cases which were pending in the court. And we were finding it difficult to resolve those cases, and the Chief Justice of the High Court himself had expressed this anxiety that there is no way they can reduce these number of cases.
और let me say frankly, कोई भी इलेक्शन लोकसभा असेंबली का ऐसा नहीं गया है वहाँ जो कैंडिडेट हो वो खुलेआम वोटर्स को शराब पिलाने की व्यवस्था न करते. ये मैं गुजरात की बात करता हूँ, गुजरात सरकार की बीजेपी की, तो बीजेपी लोगों की मैं बात करता हूँ. वो खुद मतलब होम मिनिस्ट्री खुद पुलिस की गाड़ियों में शराब आया हुआ है गुजरात में इलेक्शनों में. मतलब वही डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करते हैं कि भाई मजा करो, और पता नहीं लोग पीते हैं दूध और रखते भी हैं, एक आध महीना चले कुछ स्टॉक भी कर लेते हैं. लेकिन मैं इनको कहता हूँ कि थोड़े पीने से आप क्यों पिलाते हो. तो बीजेपी वाले बोलते हैं साहब इसलिए पिलाते हैं कि अगर भान में होगा तो बीजेपी को वोट भी नहीं देगा, इसलिए हम पिलाकर बेभान करके फिर वोटिंग करवाते हैं. ऐसा जो लेकिन ये जो मामला है ना, और वो जो आदमी गांव में पीता है उसको तो स्टॉक मिल जाता है थोड़े दिन के लिए, तो पियो फिर वोट जहाँ भी देना है देना. तो ये जो मामला है ना, इसमें जब गवर्नमेंट इलेक्शन में ऑफिशियली डिस्ट्रीब्यूट होता है मामला, लोकसभा हो असेंबली हो, तो उसमें फिर ये अपने आप से चीटिंग है, धोखाधड़ी है. कॉन्शियस अलाउ नहीं करता ये चीज़ को.
But I have not seen anybody distributing the liquor per se. Of course, I have seen people coming drunk to the polling booths, A lot of people do come drunk to polling booths, even in states like Gujarat, which is under prohibition.
Politics is playing a double role. Today's politics, when they manage a system, they will say, yes, there should be a ban on liquor. But when they go for electioneering, I have heard that liquor is being distributed sometimes to lure people into voting. So once VP Singh, ex-Prime Minister, had said that role of politics is to manage contradictions. And they will say the drinking class is that yes, we will do something that liquor is released. वो आपको कहेंगे कि विद्युत जोशी आपके लिए खराब बोलते थे, मुझे कहेंगे कि हाँ ये लड़की तुम्हारे लिए खराब बोलती थी, and they will catch vote of both. Public has to become conscious, public has to get sublimated, and civil society organizations have to work, not police. Police may work legal part of it, but so far as success of temperance movement or success of prohibition is a response of civil society, more a response of civil society.
वही चुनाव विकास कहाँ से होगा? वो जो चुनाव में खड़ा रहता है वही बोतल लाके देता है, तो बोले प्रधानमंत्री हो के मुख्यमंत्री हो, पहले तो बोलते हैं इलेक्शन के टाइम तो माहौल कर देते हैं, फिर बाद में तो कौन, हाँ यहाँ इलेक्शन होता है तो अगर दारू की बोतल हो तभी वो जीतेगा, नहीं तो नहीं जीतेगा कोई भी हो।
क्या कह रहे थे आप?
वो चुनाव में है ना तो दारू ही बेचते हैं, सबको बोतल देते हैं, हमारे में वोट डालना, हमारे में वोट डालना, ऐसा बोलते हैं।
Jhabua, Alirajpur area is very close and just a few kilometers away from Gujarat border. And it has got billions of rupees in auction for liquor shops. On papers they show the selling amount of liquor which is reasonably not matched with the statistics in those areas. Like the Aboriginal reside in the locals doesn't have that much money to buy liquor from foreign liquor shops, then who is consuming the liquor in that much amount is the question.
कौन सी शराब पी जाती है?
ये देसी महुए का।
यहाँ कोई विदेशी शराब की दुकानें हैं?
विदेशी शराब की दुकानें है।
आप खरीदते हैं कि नहीं खरीदते हैं?
वहाँ जाते नहीं, पैसे नहीं है कहाँ से जाते।
पीते किसकी है? महुए की या काई की?
महुए की।
महुए की। तो ये विदेशी शराब दुकान नहीं खरीदते हैं? ये जो आप शराब का सेवन करते हैं ये कौन सी होती है?
ये तो महुए की फेशियल।
आपने कभी जो विदेशी शराब है उस तरीके की खरीदी? क्यों नहीं? देशी शराब पीते हैं कभी आप? ये जो अंग्रेजी दुकानों पे मिलती है?
नहीं पिए।
अच्छा, कौन सी पीते हैं आप? सब समूह में बैठते हैं?
महुडानोस।
कौन सी शराब पीते हैं आप?
ये महुआ का पीता है।
अच्छा, और यहाँ जो विदेशी शराब की दुकान है उससे कभी शराब खरीदी है?
मैंने खरीदी, कोई दूसरा खरीदा है।
शराब के कितने ठेके हैं आपकी कंपनी के?
भट्टा में एक ही है।
यहाँ रोज की सेलिंग कितनी है?
वही 5-7 हज़ार, 8 हज़ार, 10 हज़ार।
इससे ज़्यादा नहीं होगा?
नहीं।
दिन की?
जी।
अच्छा, मदरानी का आपका ठेका है, वहाँ की सेलिंग कितनी होगी?
वही 5-6 हज़ार।
इससे ज़्यादा नहीं होगा?
नहीं।
अच्छा, यहाँ कुल कितने कर्मचारी काम करते हैं?
6-7 हैं।
From Madhya Pradesh border, the illegal liquor transport business is very common. From Jhabua, Alirajpur, the small hidden trails across the jungle which joins the border of Gujarat towards Dahod, Vadodara, Ahmedabad, and Surat. Liquor mafia earns billions of illegal income from this banned business.
It is a strategical process. The auctioned liquor from Madhya Pradesh has been carried towards small towns nearby borders which is then sent towards Gujarat and intentionally purchased liquor shops nearby Gujarat borders. To understand it more deeply, there are some geographic and population stats collected. There's a village named Watta in Madhya Pradesh. Its population is 1600 only, among which 800 are below poverty line holders and their average income is 60 to 70 rupees, but the auction price for liquor shop in Watta sold out for 4 crore 65 lakh rupees. And on papers it has been shown that 40 lakhs of liquor selling monthly. But the true fact is it has been only 1.5 lakh monthly selling, that means 18 lakh per year. But it again, if we check the price of liquor shop auctioned amount, that is 4 crore and 65 lakhs, it means that liquor shop owner bears the loss of 4.5 crores every year. So it is suspicious that who can own such shops in billions of rupees.
दुकान है इसका रीसेल कितने का, मतलब डेली काउंटर कितना है यहाँ का?
डेली 10 से 11,000 12,000
मतलब लगभग 3 लाख रुपए के आसपास महीने का पड़ जाता है।
हाँ काउंटर है,
इससे ज़्यादा रीसेल नहीं
रीसेल
होती?
नहीं।
तो अभी इतना स्लेक कैसे चल रहा है साल का पूरा?
सीजन डाउन है, लगन के समय में चलता है ये।
अच्छा, पर औसतन 3 लाख से ज़्यादा नहीं जाता?
नहीं।
मदरानी और भट्ठा की दुकानें कितने की गई?
सर मदरानी है 13 करोड़ 16 लाख 56,944
और भट्ठा की?
और वट्ठा है 4 करोड़ 65 लाख 8,539 में।
यहाँ के जो आदिवासी हैं, गांव में हम होके आए, तो यहाँ तो वो ताड़ी और महुए की शराब पीते हैं, फिर ये विदेशी शराब के ठेके इतने महंगे कैसे?
विदेशी शराब पीते हैं ना, पीते हैं विदेशी।
See, with the education and literacy of women, the behavioral aspect of the family where the man is under the influence hasn't changed. I have personal knowledge of a number of couples and families where a highly educated wife also gets beaten up by a husband who comes, with liquor in his down his throat. So I wouldn't say that we can forget about the issue of women's empowerment just because she has started getting educated. A woman has remained a woman and subjugated by man unless the man is enlightened. And enlightenment is not possible with alcohol down every day. So an enlightened man, we say, in our scriptures, the place where the woman is worshipped, God lives there. So that is something which has to be brought about through reform and culture. It has not made any difference. Even today, in highly educated families also, I have seen a woman getting, hugely violated at the hands of the man if the man is not himself enlightened. Not only educated men but not enlightened can still be pretty bad for enlightened and educated women. Quite often an argument is made that there is no prohibition in Gujarat, that there is no prohibition in place X or Y or Z because the alcohol is available. Now, this happens with every law. There is a law about rape, there is a law about murder.
Right? Does it mean that we should not have a section in the criminal laws of punishing the murderers?
There is a law about all kinds of wrong things that are committed. They cannot be scrapped just because they happen. You cannot say that law about rape should not be there because the rapes are happening, or the law about murder should be scrapped just because the murders are happening. The laws are basically supposed to be deterrent in nature, and the deterrence is effective on a very large cross-section of population.
This is called vicarious liability in jurisprudence, which is not at all on. A person who has never taken a drink can be booked being a member of the MAPHIL. I think some of the provisions are totally wrong.
I think this sort of moral turpitude does not help. Some people abusing other people, oh, you are rascal, you are drinking liquor. That sort of moral abusing has to stop. This sort of moral turpitude has to be stopped. In fact, some of those who drink would be more humane than those who don't drink. So there is no question that one who drinks is lower and one who drinks is superior is not necessarily so. So this sort of moral turpitude has to stop anyhow, and Gujarat will have to learn this because Gujarat has more this. Oh, he is drinking liquor, he is a rascal. And you malign people simply because some very good artist, some very good people would be drinking, you malign them and spoil their career. That should not happen.
The third one, that we are trying to implement it as a matter of crime. Any deviation is a crime. That is the very easy equation. We all deviate. There is a traffic deviation, I am not wearing mask. There are so many deviations than the standard rule. But we have a tolerance limit. That sometimes we give warning, sometimes we fine a small amount. But here, the courts were clogged with so many cases. And thanks to once upon a time when Keshubhai Patel was there, Suresh Bhai was there, and we came to a conclusion that let us make it compoundable. If he is willing to do some social service or other, there is no point in convicting so many people, conducting so many cases. But actually, once upon a time in criminal courts, more than 60% cases were related to prohibition. So I think we should try to treat deviation in some other manner than classifying it as a crime. We can have a deviation which is punishable sometimes in particular circumstances, and that is what foreign countries do with social welfare officer. Suppose I beat up my child and there is a complaint, the social welfare officer will come and even take away my child. So there are ways in a civilized society to handle the deviation rather than make it everything as a crime.
If somebody is under the influence of alcohol and doing something which is not desirable, then the people would consider it as crime compounded. Because he is not only doing something which is not desirable, but is also under the influence of alcohol. So that compounds the crime and makes it worse. And there is social disapproval of the people who are standing on the spot and people who analyze it later. So this works as a deterrent, and it is bound to improve the social law and order for these reasons. The second thing is about the family. It is proven that men, folk particularly, have been misusing whatever is the income of the family into consumption of alcohol, and any resistance by the woman of the family for that turns out to be harmful for the woman, as the man under the influence of alcohol loses his discretion and commits aggressive and violent actions against the woman. And it can go to any extent. So to that extent, the violence against women, the status of women in the family, and many other things are far better within the family with the prohibition. Now here again the same logic applies. It's not that people don't breach the law and men don't consume alcohol at home. But the fact that it is illegal gives a little empowerment to the woman to say that this is something which is illegal, and she has also the empowerment to go and complain against it.
See, whatever crime we make, earlier if I sign a check, it was not a crime. Now if I give you a check and it is dishonored, it is a crime. We have copied the American system, but we have failed to evolve how Americans deal with the dishonored check. We follow our code of criminal procedure code, which is very elaborate, where bank manager sits whole day because somebody's check has bounced in the court. Now, these are things which we are not able to understand. Whatever little knowledge of criminology which I studied once upon a time, that every deviation need not be treated as a crime. Say, for example, we come across many cases. Say, in entire West Indies countries, if your domestic servant opens the fridge or opens any food container and eats, it is not a theft. When he is there, he feels hungry, he has a right to eat. That is what their custom is. For Christian, to think that taking wine is a crime is just opposite value. Even in India, there have been large number of cases and communities which have been consuming liquor. Brahmins here may not consume liquor, but say Hindu Brahmins in Nepal never bothered about these things. Even on some Shiv temple there, or here Kal Bhairav temple, they were offering liquor as a offering. So people were believing Kal Bhairav also. So we have a very interesting mosaic in which every shade of opinion is there. That's why after 80 years, when 3 generations or 4 generations have changed, we should revisit the issue in a dispassionate manner. The fundamental is there. I don't know, you try.
If there was no law of prohibition, there was no way she could complain. So to that extent, particularly in middle class, lower middle class and poor society, sections of society, this law has helped family welfare. This has helped resolving the questions of domestic violence. This has helped the women becoming more strong and empowered at homes, and it has certainly become a reason for family income to be available for better purposes. So on family front also, this prohibition has certainly been very effective and useful, particularly in Gujarati society, that I have noticed over the last 40-50.
There is no relationship clearly established between drinking and violence, or violence on women particularly. There are people who do not drink and still they indulge into violence against women, and there are people who drink and indulge into violence against women. This type of clear relationship of cause and effect relationship between drinking and beating women or quarreling is not clearly established.
All said and done, alcohol has one negative point which Tolstoy highlighted, that it takes away your discretion. And if people is not educated to do it in moderation, it can become a big source of problem for the society. So how to balance individual's liberty and his social responsibility is the main issue in prohibition, and I think it is a time to revisit the whole issue with open mind and provide for regulation rather than prohibition. I would say regulate, yes, do. Like traffic, you have to regulate consumption of alcohol. You cannot leave it to the total sweet will of an individual, but at the same time, you cannot totally prohibit it. You must permit when it is not going to harm any other person.
Only because of education. If you educate people that you should not drink, that is number one, and it is also not available easily in Gujarat because of policy of prohibition. It is not socially acceptable that you drink. So this is a very great social value. Is the person who is drinking. You know, that kind of thinking is still there in Gujarat, only because of this policy of prohibition. So those who drink are not seen with respect.
People wrongly accuse that Gujarat government introduced prohibition. It was the then British government which introduced prohibition, and at that time people were brewing their own liquor in their home. In tribal area they were brewing mahua. In seashore area they were brewing toddy, and they were preparing liquor out of rice, out of oranges. Anything that contains carbohydrate can be converted into liquor. So they were brewing their own liquor. And since people were brewing their own liquor, government was not getting revenue. So British government put a ban that no one will brew his or her own liquor. Government will sell liquor and government will charge money. So various mahua trees, various toddy trees were cut, and British government established various shops of selling liquor. In a light moment, I can say that the contract of selling liquor was given to Parsis, and that is how Daruwala, Tadiwala, Pithawala, Batliwala surname among Parsis came into being. So prohibition in Gujarat, in Bombay state, has a longer history and some unknown facts like this.
And whenever they say that Gandhiji said that if I had been a dictator, I would have imposed prohibition, also needs to be understood that he would never be a dictator. And this one needs to be done more by social education than by total prohibition. And if Swaminarayan sect can do it for their followers, Swadhyay Parivar can do it for his followers, including fishermen, then there is no reason to believe that we cannot do it. We should do it, we should moderate it. Moderation is the key to handle the issue. Extreme position either way is bad. Haryana has proved it, Bihar had proved it, and wherever they try to impose prohibition as a crime, the failure is evident.
This is not only a question of imposing legal ban or administrative strictness. This is a question of socio-cultural reform movement.
So it's a question of development and it's a question of education, both.
If you want prohibition to be to success, then a great socio-cultural movement among those who drink will succeed.
Around 6 or 7 years back, government of Gujarat banned chewing tobacco, what we call gutka. Why it was banned? Let us have freedom to have chewing tobacco at all, right? Because the youth in Gujarat is actually accustomed to chew the tobacco, the government of Gujarat banned it. And it was banned by the state government to increase the welfare of youth. Correct? It was banned on Swami Vivekananda Jayanti. If chewing tobacco is injurious to health, then same is true with alcohol. Then why should not it be banned? So with all other types of drugs, alcohol should also be banned. And socially, we progressed much. During 60s, 70s and 80s, I think initial 30 years period in Gujarat saw a construction of many industrial workers cooperative housing societies. And at that time, I still remember that many experts said that these workers cooperative societies are being built only because of the prohibition policy, because they don't drink and they save money. So this is how the development offshoot is there of prohibition policy.
So you can see that the law has its own deterrence and it has its own utility, like all other laws. So on the whole, I would say, so far as the society and family is concerned, law of prohibition has been very useful for Gujarat. On the question of economy, I would argue it this way, that if you don't have so much a consumption of alcohol, you would have much more economic activity. And that economic activity would generate a lot more taxes, and which is happening. Gujarat has never been financially or economically poor because of prohibition. Prohibition has been there since 1960, and yet Gujarat has been one of the richest and most forward, economically most forward state. It has been one of the most developed states. So economically also, that argument that you are losing the tax is not a very strong argument, because a government cannot be running through tax alone. A government runs through the economic activity. When you have economic activity, when you have employment, when you have growth, when you have development, that goes much more to the welfare of the population of the state and the state itself, compared to just the collection of some part of some portion of the taxes. As a matter of fact, more and more advanced governments keep on reducing dependence on taxation and keep on letting the forces of economic development move and grow to support the development of people and the state.
What type of liquors are available in market? Illicit liquors are available in market. First is foreign liquor, vodka, Shiva's Regal, Champagne. These are imported in illicit manner or imported in nearby state and illegally transported to Gujarat. They are costly liquor because they are foreign made liquors. So such liquor is consumed by only upper class. And so far as police raids and other things are concerned, these things do not appear in public. It's a tacit understanding that these things don't appear in public. But then they are costly affairs. 1 liter would cost 6,000, 7,000 rupees. And it's difficult for a common man to have this type of liquor. Second type of liquor is India-made foreign liquor. There are liquor making companies in India. Kingfisher is well known, McDowell is well known. They prepare generally vodka, some type of lower vodka, whiskey, gin, rum. They are known as IMFL or India made foreign liquor, which are generally sold in those states where there is no liquor ban and also sold in defense canteens. If you want liquor in Ahmedabad, defense canteen will have, because defense people have permission to eat liquor. So, and then there are illicit transactions. But then people from Gujarat who are selling this liquor, they bring this liquor from other state, store it at a place and sell it in a manner that it is not sold in open. But you have to know numbers of people who sell this and they will come to your house and give it to you. A personal home delivery type of situation occurs so far as IMFL is concerned. This type of liquor is being consumed by urban middle class, urban upper class, not so affluent urban upper class, because at least one IMFL would cost 600, 700 per liter. So once a while it is being consumed by middle classes. So far as lower classes are concerned, they are concerned with country liquor. What is country liquor? Country liquor is generally made out of any fruit or any eatable item that has carbohydrate in it. So it can be made from oranges, it could be made from apple, it could be made from chiku. Anything that can be fermented and converted into liquor, they make liquor out of it. But very popularly speaking, this country liquor is made out of jaggery. That is, many sugar mills have jaggery effluents, non-eatable jaggery, which can be used for industrial purposes, which can be used for pharmaceutical purposes, but cannot be eaten. That jaggery is sold in illicit market to illicit liquor brewers. They purchase it in bulk. It is very easy to ferment this jaggery because it has fermentable elements in it. And if you want to still ferment it earlier, you have to keep it for 2-3 days to get it fermented. But if you want to still ferment it earlier, they put it acid, they put it batteries in it, battery cells in it, and say that it is being fermented earlier. And then out of process of fermentation, they take out the liquor on other side. They blow it and the vapor is taken out in the other vessel, and that turns into a pure liquor. Fourth part is mahua and toddy. Mahua is an extract of mahua flower which is highly rich of carbohydrate. That also could be considered as part of this country liquor, but different than Jaguri. Jaguri liquor is harmful, but Mahua liquor is not that harmful. In the same way, toddy is also not that harmful, but these days that also is banned. So these are varieties of country liquors. Then the fourth is known as latha or the illicit brew. Latha is nothing but denatured spirit. Spirit is used for industrial purposes. Spirit is used for textile, mainly textile, washing clothes and other things. So, textile trader can get spirit on license and government sells spirit on license. Now, in order that nobody drinks, the workers do not drink the spirit, they make it methyl alcohol. And this methyl alcohol is sold to them for industrial purposes. But when traders purchase, even if I am a textile trader and I want 10 drums of spirit, I'll take a license for 100 drums and use 10 drums for my industrial purpose and sell remaining 90 drums to illicit liquor brewers. Illicit liquor brewers, since there are the poisonous content mixed in it, you cannot drink this spirit, but they put alum powder and stir it in a better manner, and through a process of precipitation, the poisonous content settle down and the pure content remain upward, and that is drunk, which is known as latha. And latha is a killer element because this is not a laboratory process. Some impure content do remain, and I am sure one who drinks latha definitely dies in 5 years. So there are 4 types, and this is being drunk by unorganized labor classes who are working for 12-15 hours a day. Now, issue is this, that when rest of the countries and rest of the states are releasing ban, why there is ban in Gujarat? The issue is socio-cultural, more socio-cultural than political. 35% of Gujaratis are businessmen. They are Baniyas, Jains, Bhatiyas, Memons, Khojas. They do not drink. As I told earlier, that trading community feels that you can do business if you are in your senses. And in order to be in your senses and do good business, you have to impose certain eating and drinking ban. And as a part of that culture, this ban was introduced, and that became a value for certain communities.
You see, if you are doing better, there is always a scope to do better than the best. So no policy in itself which is there in vogue for such a long time could be complete. There is always a room for improving upon the loop and plugging the loopholes. So yes, there is nothing wrong in reviewing it open-mindedly, and wherever it is possible, the loopholes need to be plugged.
Very difficult. Once again, accept that alcohol drinking is a social evil. Then you must have a law, then you must have a machinery to implement that law. As we have all kinds of machinery, from police, from courts, and punishment mechanism. For all other crimes, we should have the same kind of policy for prohibition policy.
There is a grey market, there is illegal activity going on, no denial of it. But it would have been much more larger than if it would have been sort of unrestricted. So there is a restraint, there is a constraint on that.
गुजरात का 1 किलोमीटर भी हिस्सा ऐसा नहीं होगा जहाँ शराब की बोतल, शराब की जो कोतरी या देशी शराब आपको मिलता न हो. ऐसा मौकरी मजाक है शराबबंदी पॉलिसी का.
See, if you look at the recent history in India, Haryana had to impose prohibition for 1 year and they again gave it up. But the fact remains that when it was actually encouraged by state to drink, they were giving licenses left, right, center, everything was available, and people were not able to go to the field they were remaining in the house and the youth was affected. Similar thing has happened to Uttar Punjab in matter of drugs.
Jasveer used to spend half his monthly earning into consuming banned drugs.
ਇੱਥੇ ਜੀ ਪਤਾ ਇਦਾਂ ਆਇਆ ਜੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਿਸਟਰ ਜੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਚੱਕ ਲਿਆ ਤੇ 3 ਦਿਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਘਰਾਂ ਰੱਖਿਆ ਤੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਅੱਜ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਦਿਨ ਆ ਕੱਲ ਪੈਬਲੇਟ ਲੈਤੀ ਆ ਕੱਲ ਦੁਪਹਿਰੇ ਤੇ ਆਇਆ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਦੂਜਾ ਦਿਨ ਆ ਫਿਲਹਾਲ ਠੀਕ ਆ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਪਰੇਸ਼ਾਨੀ ਦਿੱਕਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਘਰ ਆਦਾ ਤੇ ਜੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹ ਦਾਰੂ ਪੀਂਦੇ ਸੀ ਆ ਹੁਣ ਗੋਲੀਆਂ ਖਾਣ ਲੱਗ ਗਏ ਤੇ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਨਸ਼ਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਭੁੱਕੀ ਖਾਂਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਸੀਚੀਆਂ ਸੋਚੀਆਂ ਹਾਰਾ ਵਗੈਰਾ ਆ ਚੱਲੀ ਗਿਆ ਫਿਰ ਜਮਾਏਗਾ ਕਿ ਫਿਰ ਚਿੱਟਾ ਆ ਗਿਆ ਜਿਉਂ ਤਬਦੀਲ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਉਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਚੱਲੀ ਗਿਆ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਨਾਲ
The problem of drugs is severe in Punjab. 35 government drug de-addiction centres, 155 private de-addiction centres, 19 government drug rehabilitation centres and 202 government OOAT centres in Punjab. More than 6.7 lakh patients registered for treatment. De-addiction services being...
So to say that there should not be any regulation, there should not be any prohibition is, I think, a far cry. We have to be responsible.
पकड़ रखा है गांधी जी के नाम से कांग्रेस को यहाँ आई और वो जो है मतलब ये कोई पार्टी पॉलिसी भी नहीं है. देखिए पार्टी पॉलिसी बीजेपी और कांग्रेस अलग अलग राज्यों में पावर में है. गुजरात में दोनों पार्टी कहती है कि हम शराबबंदी के हक में हैं. अगर शराबबंदी के हक में है तो राजस्थान में क्यों हक में नहीं है, मध्य प्रदेश में क्यों हक में नहीं है? मतलब ये पार्टी पॉलिसी भी नहीं है. और गुजरात जो है बेसिकली 70% ऑफिशियली समाज जिसको मान्यता देते हैं ऐसे पीने वाला समाज है. ये चोरी छुपे से नहीं पीता है. लोग मान्य जैसे अभी क्षत्रिय कम्युनिटी हमारे राजपूत लोग हैं खुलेआम शराब मतलब शादी में या कोई भी शराब पीते हैं. यहाँ के हमारे ठाकुर कम्युनिटी है, सौराष्ट्र की कोली कम्युनिटी है, यहाँ की ओबीसी कम्युनिटी है, यहाँ ट्राइबल कम्युनिटी है, शेड्यूल कास्ट है. सब लोग पीते हैं. वो समाज इनको मान्य करता है. बनिए ब्राह्मीण जहाँ समाज में वो शराब पीते हैं वो पटीदार कम्युनिटी. इसके अलावा सब लोग पीने के लिए समाज इनको मान्यता देता है. शराब शादी होगी, कोई स्वर्गवासी हो गया एजेड आदमी तो उसमें जब 12 दिन के बाद भी पीकर फिर वो शोक दूर करते हैं. यानी ये चीज़ जो है ना गुजरात में एक गलत इंप्रेशन है कि यहाँ सब शराब नहीं पीने वाले. यहाँ सामाजिक शराब पीने वाली कम्युनिटी 70% है.
As prohibition was imposed way back in 1939, we are almost now quite long time away from that. Almost you say 61, we are 80 years. Many things have changed.
एक बात जो मैं हैवी टर्नआउट देखता हूँ उसका एक कारण मैं देख रहा हूँ कि हरियाणा में महिलाओं का मतदान पुरुषों से शायद ज़्यादा हुआ होगा. डिटेल्स अभी तक मेरे पास पहुंची नहीं. और उसका एक प्रमुख कारण है शराबबंदी का भारतीय जनता पार्टी और एचपीपी का वचन. शराबबंदी के बात को लोगों ने काफ़ी सराहा है, स्वीकार किया है और उसकी ओर उन्होंने दिया है. दूसरी बात परिवर्तन की चाह. तो परिवर्तन की चाह ये लोगों की इच्छा और शराबबंदी का हमारा नाता.
In past, US had prohibition, and then Kennedy's earned out of prohibition, and Kennedy family rose out of prohibition.
With the bar lined with the boys and bums, spending their money, debauching their characters, rotting their bodies, and jeopardizing their immortal souls.
It would be very difficult, if not impossible, to estimate the benefit that will come to this country from the lesson taught to the coming generations, to make it their business to see that no such matter as this is ever again made the subject of federal constitutional law.
First of all, it will be improper to compare it with United States of America. They have different culture. India has a different culture, and in India, Gujarat has a different culture. So it will be absolutely inappropriate to make a direct comparison with what is happening in United. There are so many things happening in United States of America, which as a culture we don't accept. For example, the arms are freely available there, and you have seen the result also. So Gujarat is not exactly comparable with United States of America.
When India became independent and Gujarat was part of Bombay state, prohibition was continued and it was amended, the act was amended. When Gujarat was bifurcated from Bombay state, the prohibition was continued, and still it continues in the same manner.
Their prohibition was a very, very old affair. See, US is not possible to be compared with India on any count. And the reason is that India is a thousands of years old civilization. And how did US begin? All the rogues of Europe, they migrated to US. So they are very different kind of people. The original civilization of US is not existent there anymore. The original natives are not there. That civilization is very shallow. So I would not like to compare anything of US with us. The reasons are very different. We are a very old civilization, thousands of years old civilization, and we have our own culture, our own value system. In US, in any case, the prohibition was old, failed, and there the mafia grew up to take full control over it, and they also became quite a power to reckon with. So that's a different thing. In India, that's not happened. Gujarat and Bihar, two states which are having prohibition now, they don't have any mafia. It's not in the hands of any big bootleggers, I can say with a reasonable degree of confidence. There is no organized bootlegging of that kind, which at some point of time did have existence, but it's done with.
और हर गुजराती प्राइड के साथ ये कहते हैं हम उस स्टेट से आते हैं जहाँ शराब की पाबंदी है।
देखिए, ये गांधी जी का गुजरात है और जो शासन रहा वो गांधी जी के आइडियोलॉजी वाला, जैसे बाबू जशभाई पटेल थे या इवन सर्वोदयवादी लोग हैं, अभी भी कांग्रेस वो परिवार के जुड़े हुए कई लोग जो है वो कभी नहीं खद्दर पहनना, मतलब आइडियोलॉजी में मानने वाले कोई शराब नहीं पीना। इसका प्रभाव गुजरात में रहा, मोरारजी का प्रभाव गुजरात में रहा, सरदार साहब का प्रभाव गुजरात में रहा। ये प्रभाव के हिसाब से मार्केटिंग बहुत हुआ। मार्केटिंग ये है कि गुजरात तो बदिया ब्राह्मणों का और वेजिटेबल खाने वाला नहीं, ये 70% ऑफिशियली नॉन वेज खाने वाला स्टेट है, 70% शराब पीने वाला स्टेट है। समाज इसको मान्यता देता है। ये जो चीज़ है ना बाहर पता नहीं है। बाहर एक ही बात है कि गांधी जी का गुजरात है, गुजरात में शराब नहीं पीना चाहिए। अब पोरबंदर में जाइए, वहाँ भी शराब मिलता है। यहाँ मुख्यमंत्री के बंगले के देने बाय जाइए, वहाँ भी शराब मिलता है। अब महात्मा मंदिर जाइए तो वहाँ भी वो आपको ठर्रा मिलेगा कहीं कहीं। आप कहाँ पर भी जाइए तो ये चीज़ जो है ना बाहर अलग है, वो मार्केटिंग के हिसाब से। तो मार्केटिंग जो है ना वो लोगों के साथ धोखाधड़ी है। ऐसा मार्केटिंग नहीं होना चाहिए जो झूठा मार्केटिंग है। इसलिए मैं अपने आप को पूरा समझकर गुजरात में प्रोहिबिशन नहीं होना चाहिए, मैं पब्लिकली कहता हूँ। और आई हैव माई रीजन्स, और रीजन्स वो है कि लोगों को बेवकूफ़ मत बनाइए। आप शराब मिलता भी है, नहीं भी मिलता है, वो नहीं थी। अगर एक्ट है और एक्ट नहीं भी है, एक्ट है तो नहीं मिलना चाहिए, तो मिलता है मतलब एक्ट नहीं है। ये चीज़ है ना, ऐसा मौका नहीं। तो इससे ये चीटिंग है अपने खुद के साथ। और ये अगर आप मानते हैं कि गवर्नमेंट इन्वॉल्व है इसमें, तो गवर्नमेंट को बोल्डली स्टैंड लेना चाहिए। गुजरात में इस सिस्टम का प्रोहिबिशन होगा या नहीं होगा, नहीं होगा तो वजह ये है। और एक्ट करना है, लॉ है तो स्ट्रिक्टली इम्प्लीमेंट करिए। इज नॉट पॉसिबल। इम्प्लीमेंट करने वाले ही अंदर करप्शन में आ जाते हैं, वही पी लेते हैं, और क्या करें जी।
देखिए, हर पॉलिटिशियन यही बोलता है कि शराब पाबंदी होनी चाहिए। गुजरात के बहुत कम पॉलिटिशियन होंगे कि उन्होंने बोला होगा कि गुजरात में प्रोहिबिशन नहीं होना चाहिए, लिकर प्रोहिबिशन नहीं होना चाहिए। क्योंकि वजह यह है कि गुजरात में प्रोहिबिशन को गांधी जी के साथ जोड़ा गया है। हर कोई बोलता है गांधी का गुजरात है, यहाँ शराब नहीं बिकनी चाहिए। ये वजह रही कि जब ऑफ कैमरा होता है तो कई सारे पॉलिटिशियन बातें करते हैं कि बहुत हो चुका, प्रोहिबिशन हटना चाहिए। लेकिन जब स्टेज पर जाने की बात आती है या कैमरा पे बोलने की बात आती है, पब्लिक प्लेटफॉर्म पे बात करनी आती है, तो हर कोई यही बोलता है कि प्रोहिबिशन होना चाहिए। और जो भी अपोजिशन है उसको बताते हैं लोग कि देखिए ये शराब का इस बिजनेस के साथ इस प्रकार से है। उसको जब सामने वाले पर आरोप लगाना है तब हर कोई ये बोलता है कि शराब की पाबंदी होनी चाहिए, और जब खुद के ऊपर आता है तो बोलते हैं कि नहीं शराब की पाबंदी नहीं होनी चाहिए, तो हर कोई पीता है तो हम लोग भी पिए।
So the Constitution of India has a portion which is called Directive Principles of State Policy, and which are not in the nature of laws but which are in the nature of directive principles towards which the governments of state and center would endeavor to reach in a gradual manner. Now, prohibition is one of the major issues which is mentioned in the directive principles of state policy. And what it means is that a law which is created in pursuance of DPSPs cannot be turned down by the courts. So one thing which it made clear was that in respect of right, personal freedom and right of consumption, privacy and all those things could not be cited as a reason for enacting a law regarding prohibition, because the directive principles stated that as a desired objective. It became clear that personal freedoms and right to privacy etc. could be curtailed to that extent, and prohibition could be implemented by the governments for society across the board, and that would not be considered as curtailing the personal freedoms or fundamental freedoms by courts of this country. So that way the prohibition did become one of the valid propositions to be legislated upon, and some states like Gujarat has been having prohibition from the point of inception. Maharashtra also had prohibition, but they have gone more towards licensing. But as of today, I think it's Gujarat, it's Bihar, Nagaland and perhaps Mizoram. 4 states have complete prohibition, where there is stringent punishment for breaching the law. The other states did get into prohibition but have gone back from it and have found it not very practical or implementable.
Now we all know that prohibition of consumption of any food or drink really does not work. It is individual's choice, and many people consider that we should leave it to the individual to judge what is good for him, what is bad for him. But this is easily said than done, because we have to control drugs also. We have to regulate sale of acid or even insecticide. Everything we have to do it, because people many times don't act responsibly. However, we find that in Gujarat, in spite of apparently every day thousands of cases being registered, the number of people who are drinking in Gujarat is limited to about 20%. The reason is that there have been sects like Swaminarayan, Swadhyay Parivar, Vaishnavas, Jain, Muslims, where this has been prohibited. And they are quite successful in implementing. If you have a village where maximum followers are of Swadhyay Parivar or particular Swaminarayan sect, you will not find evil of drinking, because they have been convinced that it is not there. Not here only. If you go abroad, the Swaminarayan Sampradaya people, even in US or UK, don't drink. So it is a matter of cultivating a mindset. I am vegetarian because I have been brought up as vegetarian and I am comfortable with it. But to tell somebody in Japan or in even Philippines or any Southeast Asian country that they are vegetarian, they just don't understand it. The same way, Christianity recommends wine and bread as a offering, prasad. So these are all related to our upbringing. Mahatma Gandhi pleaded strongly for prohibition because at that time, prohibition was needed to protect poor from diverting that meager resources to things which will they consume, and then they will become sick and they will not get enough nutrition. Mahatma Ji himself had lived in London, had been in South Africa for a number of years, so he was not unaware about the drinking habits of the people.
One thing which is cited against prohibition is the question of economy. The taxation which many governments receive on alcohol is huge, and the argument is that state government loses a lot of taxation, and there is a lot of corruption that it gives rise to, and the bootlegging is a spinner of illegal money, and which goes in the coffers of people who implement the prohibition. Now, all these things are partly true.
देखिए, उसमें कोई दो राय नहीं हो सकती कि जो चीज़ नहीं मिलती वो पाने के लिए लोग ज़्यादा मेहनत करते और एक बार मिलती है तो ज़्यादा यूज़ कर लेते हैं। लेकिन जहाँ तक लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का सवाल है, उसमें कोई दो राय नहीं कि प्रोहिबिशन के चल के क्राइम रेट गुजरात में कम है। इंडिविजुअली मैं ये मानता हूँ, मेरा एक्सपीरियंस ये रहा है, क्योंकि शराब का प्रोहिबिशन है तो लोग बाकी स्टेट में पीने के बाद जो बाहर घूमते हैं इस प्रकार से नहीं घूमते हैं। बाकी जगह पे जो निशंस देखने को मिलता है शराब पीकर, वो यहाँ नहीं मिलता है। गुजराती में कहावत है, बिना भय प्रीत नहीं होती, प्रेम नहीं होता है। तो ये जो कानून है उसका डर है, उसका कहीं ना कहीं रिजल्ट है, क्योंकि कानून बनता है यानी कि इस कानून के डर से बंद हो जाएगा वो जरूरी नहीं है, लेकिन कानून बनता है तो एक लिमिटेशन रहती है, आपके ऊपर एक डर रहता है। और कानून नहीं होता तो मैं पर्सनली मानता हूं कि अभी जो पीते हैं, हो सकता है ज़्यादा पीते हो, लेकिन उससे भी ज़्यादा पीते हैं। हो सकता है कि छूट होती तो अच्छी क्वालिटी का शराब मिलता, हो सकता है कि उसे इनकम स्टेट की बढ़ती, लेकिन जिस नेचर का ये स्टेट है, मतलब गुजराती और गुजरात जो माना जाता है, शायद ये वजह है कि प्रोहिबिशन है कि हम लोग, हमारी जो आइडेंटिटी है, गुजराती की जो आइडेंटिटी है, अस्मिता वाली जो आइडेंटिटी, वो लोग छोड़ना नहीं चाहते। मतलब छोड़ना चाहते भी हो तो दिखाना नहीं चाहते, और शायद ये वजह कि प्रोहिबिशन गुजरात से निकलना मुश्किल है।
It is not the question of having or not having prohibition policy. It's a question of implementation of that policy. Of course, when people say that it is actually supporting the wrong elements in the society and also in the police and also in the area of politics, but does it mean that we should not have a policy at all?
See, what is required is that we don't have many non-governmental organizations working on this issue. Think of it, we have NGOs for human rights, we have NGOs for tribal development, we have NGOs for Dalits, we have NGOs for women, we have NGOs for so many other issues. We don't have NGOs who would study this issue and work with people on either temperance issue or either on sublimation of lifestyle issue.
बेसिकली दोनों साइड की बातें हैं, और प्रोहिबिशन को लेकर गुजरात में कोई बोल्ड नहीं, मतलब कोई भी गुजराती इंडिविजुअल बोल्डली नहीं बोलेगा कि शराब की पाबंदी हटानी चाहिए। हो सकता है कई लोग ये मानते हैं कि शराब की पाबंदी हटानी चाहिए, वजह गिनाते हैं कि अच्छी शराब, क्वालिटी वाली शराब नहीं मिलती है, भले प्रोहिबिशन हो फिर भी गुजरात में शराब मिलती है, पाबंदी हट जाए तो टूरिज्म डेवलप हो। हर किसी के पास शराब पाबंदी हटाने के लॉजिक जरूर है, कैलकुलेशन के साथ लॉजिक है। जब सार्वजनिक प्लेटफॉर्म पे, पब्लिक प्लेटफॉर्म पे बोलने की बात आती है तो कोई भी गुजराती नहीं बोलेगा कि प्रोहिबिशन जो उसको हटाना चाहिए।
Hindrance here is that whoever in a political circle take up scrapping or loosening of prohibition will not find mass support. Because as I told you, the Sampradayas, even Muslims, nobody will come out openly, while many people will do it openly. For example, I remember Mr. Madhav Singh Solanki was trying to revisit the issue. He mentioned to somebody, and news reached to his father-in-law, Ishwar Singh Chawda. He rang up him and told him, the day you do it, I will be fasting on your door. Don't do it. So, remove that thought from your mind. There were people who have very great influence. They are genuine people. But today that genuine people is on one side and vested interest on the other. Both want prohibition to continue. That's why you don't get the majority. There are two extremes. One is sincere, like Swadhyay Parivar, Gandhian people, Seva. They are sincere about it. Nobody can doubt their sincerity. They are doing it for the welfare of their member and the families. On the other hand, you have vested interest. Both want prohibition. That is the catch-22 in Gujarat.
See, you have to look at in a comparative manner. One of the acid tests is that those people from other states who come here and retire in Gujarat, they do not want to go away from Gujarat, they want to settle here because they like the state, they like the people, they like the normal societal peace now. That is, I think, one of the testimony. That is one of the reasons why Gujarat is a preferred location or preferred state for post-retirement settling down. Number of IAS officers, IPS officers I know who have settled down post-retirement here, though they might belong to other states. So yes, there is comparatively a better environment here. I won't say it is the ideal or the best, but comparatively it's a better environment here. यहाँ आपको कोई ये नहीं कहता कि 6 बजे के बाद बाहर मत जाना.
It has been proved, particularly after implementation of prohibition in the state of Bihar, that a number of crimes have come down. The crime data shows clearly that after the imposition of prohibition, the crimes have been coming down, lot of disorder has become resolved, and Gujarat also, it is very clear that because of the law, the society looks down upon anybody behaving erratically under the influence of alcohol.
See, the best thing is the person himself. You counsel him and make him give up these kind of vices. But in this situation, if you look at WHO, it has said that more people will now be in the grip of lifestyle diseases rather than the communicable disease.
Having health permit for alcohol is a joke, nothing else. If you want to have alcohol as a medicine, then the drugs and pharmaceutical industry is already consuming it and producing the drugs, right? Liquid or tablets. So enough of alcohol is there where there is required. You don't require a separate alcohol for medicinal purpose, right?
Second, what is required is to study liquor in depth. Since liquor is banned, liquor studies are also banned. They are not allowed to study on this issue. But then, what type of, you do research in liquor, that liquor does not give you a kick, but prepare liquor which is such that can be used in drugs, can be used in medicines, can be used in your eatables, can be used during your essentials, but not giving you a kick. This is scientifically, this is possible. Why should you have liquor which gives you kick and where you forget all your senses? That is not necessary. I think if some sort of hard type research, hard core research is being done in liquor science also, I think that will help us.
अब एजुकेशन की बात करें तो हर कोई जानता है कि शराब पीना इस प्रकार से, गुजरात में जिस क्वालिटी का शराब मिलता है उस क्वालिटी का शराब पीना सेहत के लिए नुकसानकारक है. लेकिन अगेन यह है कि आप सोए हुए इंसान को जगा सकते हैं, लेकिन जो इंसान जाग रहा है उसको जगा नहीं सकते. हर कोई गुजरात में जानता है, मतलब कहीं पर भी एजुकेशन की कमी नहीं है कि हर किसी को मालूम है कि शराब पीते नुकसान होता है. हर किसी को मालूम है अच्छी क्वालिटी का शराब नहीं मिलता है. तो वो नहीं है, लेकिन यदि सही में बंद करना है तो ज़्यादा स्ट्रिक्ट करना पड़ेगा, तो हो सकता है बंद होगा.
And I personally feel that it is the right time now to review the prohibition policy from 5 perspectives. One is that do we recognize personal freedom for food and drink by and large, provided it does not infringe on the social peace or the family welfare? We can have some restrictions, but that needs to be studied and we can arrive at that. Because it was more to protect family that the individual is being discouraged to drink. But however, if he is drinking something obnoxious, like lattha or other things, then it is a major problem. I had inquired into Sutrapada Lattha Kand where scores of people had died. So I come to the conclusion that healthy drink is far better than illicit drink. So this is how to regulate the access to the drink by a person using his freedom.
Now the question is, main prohibition activities are being carried out about putting ban on country liquor which is illicitly being brewed here. Less on lattha. Sometimes they raid on lattha, but less on lattha because lattha is mainly used in industrial area, in slum area and things like that.
So by all these means, it appears to be that Gujarat has been very successful in continuing with the prohibition. Yes, when it comes to certain freedoms, certain rights of people, you can create exceptions, and which are there in the state in the policy of issuing permits. And when I was Prohibition Secretary, I had also suggested giving permits for international conferences, for conferences where a large number of participants are coming from outside, because it was cited as one of the reasons why conferences don't take place in Gujarat and why travel and tourism is not there in Gujarat. So I remember in 2004 or 5 when I was there, we had liberalized the question of issuing the permits. And so today you can have any outsider who's visiting Gujarat can have a permit online, and with that permit they can buy the liquor across more than 3-4 dozen shops that you have in the state, including a shop at the airport. I remember having given a license to somebody at the international airport for people who are coming from abroad and not holding an Indian passport issued in Gujarat. Those all people can buy liquor as they come down to the state, and at the arrival lounge itself they can buy. But those who are holding Indian passports issued in Gujarat, they get covered under the prohibition law. So they are not eligible to get a permit for being a tourist. For those who are in the state, there is only one scheme, which is the scheme of health permits. And health permits are issued based on requirements, medical requirements of individuals, and there are a very large number of people who are holding the health permits, which enables them to go and buy the liquor from shops which are authorized. The only thing is that the government levies very heavy tax on that. It's almost 100% of the cost, and sometimes more than 100%, but which is all right if somebody has to drink and he's a respectable person of society. He would like to have his drink officially and legitimately and not illegitimately, and for which there are situations which are available under which the permit can be taken. So it's a prudent policy. It can always be reviewed in terms of reviewing the policy of issuing the permits for outsiders and making them easier so that outsiders don't find it difficult to visit Gujarat if they are used to it.
Why not appoint a commission? There were 2 commissions appointed. One was Miabhai Commission. Another commission was appointed. Both gave report at that time favoring prohibition. Even when public debates were held, there was a strong voice in favor of prohibition. Why? Times of India had organized it, and they thought that the person who otherwise in private conversation used to criticized prohibition, former minister Khamborja, he on the stage pleaded that prohibition is good. So this will happen. Here, anyone who has to be in public life has to keep the vote bank in view. And no Muslim can officially support prohibition. No Swaminarayan sect person will do it. No Vaishnav will do it. No Jain will do it. Most of the women organizations like Seva with a strong membership of 20 lakh will support it. So, removing of prohibition, there will be maximum resistance in Gujarat. Gandhian people who profess to be Gandhian or otherwise. So, unless you study the whole scenario as of today and assess it scientifically, keeping prohibition as it is, many consider it as folly. It has not succeeded in achieving the objective and is also causing distortions in the system, including corruption is one of them. Then how to overcome distortions and yet protect the social interest should be our basis for taking a review. If we do not take a review after 80 years and then say that because Mahatma Gandhi had said so or cultural value is that, everything is changing. In that case, we will say that put every woman in ghungat and all that. So we have to take a review periodically. We have to have an open mind. So only thing which I am pleading is that we must modify prohibition and move to regulation rather than absolute prohibition. That is there. And then somebody says, I am old, I can get a permit. That is not the issue. Health permit is a contradiction in terms.
Unfortunately, जितनी शराब आती है वो सभी पकड़ी नहीं जाती और ये हर कोई जानता है, मतलब जर्नलिस्ट ने हर कोई जानता है कि गुजरात में शराब मिलती है। शायद ये है कि गुजरात में बाकी स्टेट की तुलना में इंडिविजुअल देखा जाए तो पहली नजर में लगता है कि शायद लोग ज्यादा पीते हैं, लेकिन उसका कोई प्रमाण नहीं है, उसका कोई शायद स्टडी भी नहीं है और आप जनरली स्टडी कर भी नहीं पाओगे क्योंकि कोई भी एजेंसी किसी के भी सामने जाके पूछेगी कि आप शराब पीते हैं तो मैं नहीं मानता हूं कि 10 में से 2 लोग भी सही में बोले कि मैं शराब पीता हूं।
मतलब ये जो चीज़ है ना, ये अगर कंट्रोल है तो लोग अलग रास्ता निकालेंगे। यहाँ प्रोहिबिशन है तो बाहर से शराब आता है, करोड़ों रुपये का आता है। गुजरात ऐसे राज्यों से सराउंडेड है, जैसे दमन वहाँ छूट है, दीव वहाँ छूट है, आबू छूट है, उदयपुर छूट है, इंदौर में जाइए छूट है, जहाँ भी जाइए, मतलब सराउंडेड बाय, तो वो कभी सक्सेस होने का सवाल ही पैदा नहीं होता।
दूसरी सच्चाई गुजरात की ये भी है कि कुछ लोग शराब का बिजनेस करके पावरफुल बन गए, फाइनेंशियली भी पावरफुल बने, पॉलिटिकली भी पावरफुल बने। तो 2 चीजें हैं, कुछ लोग मजबूरी में बिजनेस करते हैं और कुछ लोग ऐसे हैं कि सिर्फ इस बिजनेस से पैसा कमाते हैं और न्यूसेंस क्रिएट करते हैं।
So it's a nexus of politicians and police and those who are the, say, bootlegging about alcohol. So this nexus must be broken out.
60% of Indian economy is informal economy where you don't pay tax. So question is to evolve as a society where you become rule of law, you respect your law. I personally believe that drinking liquor is bad. You have to live a simple life. You should not have irrational behavior.
So I would suggest that a high time that a dispassionate review is taken, all interested groups are heard, and then a major modification from moving from total prohibition to a well-regulated system would be good. And whatever alcohol or other, the sale should be controlled. There should be some disincentive in form of tax which we call luxury tax. Beyond that, I think we should take away the stigma and the crime. Stigma will be there. If people are not drinking, it is all right. But suppose the definition of mehfil, I attend a party and unknowingly, if there is a room in which the liquor is served and police raids it, I am supposed to have violated prohibition law.
नहीं, इसमें देखिए ह्यूमन नेचर को समझना है। अभी जो है गुजरात की इमेज है कि यहाँ तो कोई शराब नहीं पीता है, अच्छे घर के लोग बहनें भी शराब पीती पकड़ी जाती हैं और इनको फिर मुंह ढक करो मीडिया के आगे रखना करना बहुत ह्यूमिलेट लगता है। कई चीज़ें ऐसी है डिपार्टमेंट में किसी का तनख्वाह कम है ज़्यादा है तो इसमें सोर्स ऑफ इनकम इनके लिए नहीं है, लेकिन इम्प्लीमेंटिंग अथॉरिटी है वही जब भ्रष्ट होगी और भ्रष्टाचार नीचे से ऊपर तक जब जाएगा तो वो लॉ कभी इम्प्लीमेंट होने का सवाल ही पैदा नहीं होना। और ये जो चीज़ है इसमें तो बिल्कुल बिलो स्टैंडर्ड लोग जैसे बूट लेगर लोग हैं तो बिना लेवल के लोग होते हैं जिसका कोई सोशल स्टेटस नहीं होता है लेकिन पैसे इतने आते हैं उसमें जो गुंडागर्दी डेवलप होती है। ये हिंदू का अड्डा है, ये मुसलमान का अड्डा है, इधर तो लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का भी प्रॉब्लम होता है।
This kind of thing happens, but this is more an exception than the rule. To think that a large cross section of police or people in the government are corrupt, it's not correct. A large cross section of people who are implementing the law are not corrupt, and some exceptional people are corrupt. And there again, it's a question of social action against corruption.
See, on that issue, I worked in government with chief ministers, there have been many complaints about the people, ministers, officers drinking, giving parties, even policemen serving drink in the party. Photographs were sent at that time, videos were not there, but photographs were sent to us. My point is that as far as government machinery is concerned, whatever is the law, right, wrong, otherwise, government machinery has to obey it. Equally, the powerful people in the society, wealthy or otherwise, they also have to be careful and not give anyone a chance to do what has been done. That will happen because you made yourself vulnerable. People should not make himself or herself vulnerable in such matter. That is an abundant precaution one would have to take. See, take XYZ manufacturer who is smuggling this into Gujarat. He has a tremendous advantage because he does not have to pay VAT on that or GST. He finds it better to sell here. He gets better price than what he will get in open market because it is a closed market, so he gets a better price. So he also wants prohibition to continue. People are doing it and you will not be able to totally stop. Then come to the regulation stage, you will be better off in every way. The fourth aspect which I would like to say, that liquor is taxed very heavily. That encourages illicit liquor production and sale. At the same time, it makes it beyond reach of many people. So we should have standard GST of say 12 or 18%, and revenue collected should be used. 50% should be earmarked for social education. It will help us in sanitation, healthcare, nutrition. There are many things which require money and government is not able to spend adequately. We can take that up and we can constitute small social group ward-wise or village-wise which will take care of the addicts. People should not turn addicts because that is harmful for the society as well as his own health. At that time, it is a social responsibility of the society, family and the government to protect such deviant people from going to the extreme. If it is not on extreme, people should not drink while they are driving. People should not drink in public and make a nuisance of themselves. Big large gatherings like weddings or other, there should not be serving of liquor because that can lead to unholy situations and sometimes even violence.
If you just open it up, you will find people roaming around who are drunk, misbehaving. Slowly but steadily, the state will slip. So there are number of very strong arguments against prohibition, that you are losing revenue, the illicit liquor trade unauthentically and unofficially is making a roaring business. Yes, very true. It is. But that doesn't mean that something which is not healthy for the society, you will continue to patronize it and then make it available to everybody. Then the situation will be different.
जितने भी बॉर्डर स्टेट या तो इंडियन टेरिटरी है, वहाँ के जितने भी लिकर के बड़े बिजनेसमैन हैं या तो लिकर मेकिंग कंपनी जो है, उनका बड़ा कंज्यूमर, बड़ा क्लाइंट गुजरात है। तो उससे पता चलता है कि बड़ी अमाउंट टैक्स की जो है, टैक्स रेवेन्यू की, वो गुजरात को नहीं मिलती। यहाँ तक कि स्टेट के जो हेल्थ मिनिस्टर हैं, जो डेप्यूटी सीएम हैं, जो फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर हैं, वो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट इस बात को कह भी चुके हैं कि गुजरात में क्योंकि लिकर प्रोहिबिशन है तो टैक्स की हम लोगों को लॉस होता है, तो केंद्र सरकार की जो ग्रांट मिलती है हम लोगों को ज़्यादा देना चाहिए। यानी कि गवर्नमेंट मानती है उसको चल के इकोनॉमिकल लॉस।
It is being said that because of the policy of prohibition, the government of Gujarat is losing 1 lakh crores of rupees in terms of revenue. I think this is an inflated figure. I have checked out about the excise duty revenue of Maharashtra government, where there is no prohibition, and the government of Maharashtra is earning around 25,000 crores of rupees a year in terms of excise tax. So in that sense, government of Gujarat, if it loosens prohibition policy, it may earn around 12,000 to 13,000 crores of rupees. So this is not fair that the government of Gujarat is actually losing 1 lakh crores of rupees in terms of revenue. That is number one. Number two is this year's budget of government of Gujarat is around 2.1 lakh crores of rupees. So in that sense, whatever the income the government of Gujarat is losing because of the policy of prohibition is just around 5 to 6%. So it is not 50%. As it is being said. So I think we should be very wise in giving the figures.
Why people are not revisiting? Because everybody has found comfort in it. They may not be happy or unhappy. Government does not mind losing revenue because it keeps many other things going in the system. Second, that people who are consuming liquor, by and large, find that police is ineffective in this manner. Nobody is sincere now. So they also say, doesn't matter, prohibition है तो है, मेरे को क्या फर्क पड़ता है? It is de jure. De facto is different thing. So people are comfortable with that, and that's why some journalist like you went and searched for that report. Assembly is not giving it. Somebody has made that thing to even disappear, I suspect.
गुजरात में आर्टिफिशियल प्रोहिबिशन है। कोई भी गवर्नमेंट हो उसको ज़्यादा इसको नहीं खींचना चाहिए। सब मॉरल साइड में रखकर रियल चिंता अगर गुजरात की करनी है तो आर्टिफिशियल एक्ट से हटकर रियल एक्ट जो लोगों के भले के लिए हो। और लोग पिए सिगरेट पीते हैं, नॉनवेज खाते हैं तो शराब भी पिए, लेते में जो क्या खाना क्या पीना। समझदार लोग होते हैं, बड़े होते हैं, तो समझकर जो भी करना हो करने दीजिए। ये करने से किसी को नुकसान नहीं होना चाहिए। मेरे को ऐसा हाथ घुमाने की छूट है, लेकिन मैं आपके मुंह पर मेरा हाथ लगे तो मेरे को सामने रिएक्शन होगा। मेरा राइट है, वो मेरी लिमिट में रहना चाहिए। किसी को नुकसान करे ऐसा राइट नहीं होना चाहिए।
It is only because of their low economic and social standards. If they are economically developed, if their per capita income goes up, they will not be inclined to take that kind of spurious alcohol, right?
परिवार को इसके हैव्स एंड हैव्स नॉट क्लास में क्या फ़ायदा क्या नुकसान वो समझाना चाहिए। ये आपको सही अच्छा इंसान बनना है तो अपने आप को फिजिकली मेंटली कंट्रोल में रखिए। अगर शराब पीने से आपका दिमाग छटक जाता है, कंट्रोल चला जाता है, तो वो कंट्रोल चला जाएगा तो आपकी इमेज आपके परिवार में, आपकी बीवी, आपके बच्चे, आपकी माँ, आपके पिता, उसमें इमेज डाउन हो जाएगी। आप पीने वाले ऐसे, तो वो आदमी सोशल स्टेटस खत्म हो जाएगा, और सोशल स्टेटस खत्म होगा तो उसका कोई मतलब ही नहीं है। फिर आप सोशल स्टेटस है नहीं तो मतलब क्या है? तो ये चीज़ जो है ना, इसलिए वन शुड कंट्रोल फिजिकली खुद को और परिवार को। डूज एंड हैव नॉट, डूज एंड डोंट्स में ये नहीं करना है, ये करना चाहिए, ये समझाना चाहिए विथ लव, प्रेम से, विथ लॉजिक, विथ एग्जाम्पल।
And can people afford or not is not a question now. Because we have reached a level where Gujarat has about 1.20 lakh per capita income per year, which is reasonable. And if somebody has income and drinks it, it is not going to cause any major upset in the budget. People who are with limited income, it will cause some problem. But the consumption pattern gets regularized. People stop using ghee. If it is very expensive, they make do with the oil. Oil also, if certain type, they don't use olive oil because it is very costly. They will use palm oil. So these thing adjustments are taking place. If a person is there, he will buy gold milk, other fellow will buy taja milk. People get adjusted to whatever level it is, in quantity or in branding. So that is not going to be an issue. But what we should begin, that let us start a debate. Let us have a commission to carry out a thorough review of all these more than 80 plus years, and then looking to the present, what is the best should be propagated, and if everybody is comfortable, no problem. Swaminarayan people say don't drink, but they are not agitating in UK for prohibition. They have a sizable number, but they don't do it. Yes, they will refrain from it as a personal habit. And after so many years of experience in government and all that, making drinking a crime is actually, in my personal opinion, absolutely ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. We have far better ways to handle that situation. Our object is less people should drink less. Okay, we can move in that direction, but not by making it a crime.
So now you see, as I've been saying, these are aberrations. The whole electoral system has a number of aberrations, not only this. And we need to counter that with social action. But social action is possible only if society has sufficient strength and resilience. They say every country, every society gets the government they deserve. So if you don't deserve an upright government, you will not get an upright government. And for getting an upright government, you need to be very, they say, vigilance is the price of eternal liberty. So if you're not vigilant, you lose your liberty. But a society has to understand it. If a society has become crippled and can start crawling before power, then it deserves that government. And it happens that certain countries, certain societies remain under dictatorship for years and years. And certain societies will not take it. So it depends on how enlightened the society is and what is their cultural fabric.
Which type of people are best people, you should ask, because government in a democracy is government by the people, for the people, of the people. People comes 3 times in this definition, government comes 1 time. So if 3 doesn't get corrected, how are you expecting 1 to do wonders?